Hi, my name is Mary Elaine Petrucci, host of Caregiver Cast. The purpose of the podcast is to bring you caregiver information and experts' advice, strategies, and tips to help make your caregiving journey more rewarding. My exciting news is that I have started a Caregiver Lifeline community membership site where you would have access to the podcasts that have been aired, as well as Facebook Lives twice a month, and any other resources that caregivers would need in their caregiving journey. So please look into becoming a member of the Caregiver Lifeline community, and I look forward to seeing you there. You can log into caregiverlifelinecommunity.com and find out more specifically all the features and benefits that you will be receiving from the membership site. Thank you for listening. And now my first guest today is Dr. Daniel Zeiss. Welcome to Caregiver Cast. My name is Mary Elaine Petrucci, your host. My guest today is Dr. Daniel Zeiss, who will be discussing peak states for a deep feeling of peace and inner unity, where you can make real and positive changes quickly and easily in your life. Before I formally introduce Dr. Zeiss, I'm going to just give you some information about his background. Dr. Zeiss received his license to practice medicine in 2004. Between 2004 and 2007, he completed a doctorate in medicine in the specialties of internal medicine, occupational medicine, and medical informatics. Since 2010, Dr. Zeiss has worked in the international insurance industry, first as a medical consultant and later as a senior medical consultant for 2 years in Florida. Dr. Zeiss studied at Cornell University and graduated with a plant-based nutrition certificate. Through the challenge in his job and the integration into a new culture, his interest in therapy of the psyche and soul was born, and he started to attend courses and trainings. Back in Germany, Dr. Zeiss worked in the property insurance, reinsurance, and primary insurance industries. In 2017, the Medical Association of Lower Saxony awarded Dr. Zeiss the additional title of nutritional medicine, and he completed the training to become a certified peak states therapist at the Canadian Institute for the study of peak states. In 2019, Dr. Zeiss began his German psychotherapy training by moving to a large psychiatric hospital in northern Germany, where he continued his training for the title of psychotherapist. From 2020 to 2021, Dr. Zeiss trained as an inner unity therapist, along with his continued research in the field of trauma therapy, subcellular psychobiology, and psychoimmunology, and the development of coaching and personal development offers for the group and individual setting. Welcome to Caregiver Cast, Dr. Zeiss.
Thank you very much, Mary. I'm very happy to be here.
You really have a very impressive background. So can you let the listeners know a little bit more about, while you were here in the States in 2010, what sparked your interest in the psyche and the soul?
Yes, of course. I love that. So, as you pointed out, as a German coming to the US, one of my dreams, work and live in the United States with my family, my wife and 2 daughters. and everything was fine. I mean, the initial struggles, finding a home, finding a school, finding the way to work, the efficient
Mm-hmm.
one without the traffic jams and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the stuff comes up. Okay, you communicate with people, and you communicate also with your former employer, and then when things arise, then there's some sort of unpleasantness. Something happens inside, and well, without a proper training, you just reside to stuff that ignore. The best thing, okay, I'm powering through. I just
Mm-hmm.
want to get things done. Okay, that's what
Mm-hmm.
business is all about, getting things done. And then you notice that perhaps the shoulders are a little bit tense, or you can't sleep at night. Okay, or you don't like to eat, or the food doesn't taste so nice, and same strategy continuing, and then eventually there will be a breakpoint. Okay, and for me there was a breakpoint where I said, okay, I don't know, I don't know how to handle this stress, and then I said, okay, so what's stress? I looked it up in my books, yeah, looked it up online, and
Mm-hmm.
tried to find a solution to it. And of course there's like sports, do some sports. Okay, I
Mm-hmm.
started to do more sports than I did before, and it that helped for a while. And then, well, with the training in occupational medicine, when you sit the whole day at the desk and try to juggle the projects I was having at that time, then eventually you come to the idea, perhaps it's the chair. That's why my back is so okay, because it's static sitting and it's not dynamic sitting, which should be done. So buy a new chair. It helps for 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks, 3 weeks, adjust to the new things, and then again things start to look tense again, and then some moment I was like, okay, I need to understand what's happening there. And so I went online, I tried to Google, and you find a lot of stuff. Okay, on YouTube you
Mm-hmm.
find a lot of videos on how to relax, on how to do this and do yoga and do spirituality and do healing and so many things.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried it. Okay, so I
Mm-hmm.
tried it. I'm a very curious soul, so I just tried it out. I
Mm-hmm.
called that practitioner. I went with that facilitator, and I tried it. And there were different ideas in the room, yeah, and from very religious and spiritual advance to very practical advances to technological advances. Just put some electrodes there and put some electricity go through your body,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, I had interesting experiences. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes I even got blamed for, it's your fault, that's why it doesn't work. I was like, okay. Um,
Well,
it's
that's
tough.
not a really good approach.
Yeah, but that's like what I got. And then
Mm-hmm.
I came across yeah, Peak States. I came across the website of Peak States, and at first the website was very theoretic, and I was like, is that really something? Because I was like, I need to try it. Okay, try to see if it works. But then I started reading, and I started to book a session with a therapist, and in that session I had the most amazing experience,
Mm.
which we call a peak experience. So an amazing experience where you change your point of view, your perspective, and I felt light, and everything was just flowing. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And just like, I don't know, 45 minutes session, and then something like this.
Mm-hmm.
It eventually vanished because it was just a peak experience. So it's a moment where your consciousness works exceptionally well, and you have a different perspective on life, and life feels completely different, and that got me hooked. And so I started to do some more sessions to really see if that worked, and it continued to work. Not necessarily always that impressive like the first session, but on a steady basis.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also like that there's always this, okay, what's the situation before? Then we do an intervention, and then there's situation after. So
Mm-hmm.
very scientific approach to really compare the before and the after. And then when the after is not as the desired result, there are ways to work around. So the therapist showed me ways to then do this and do that. And I said, yeah, that's something I would like to know as well. And I got into the training, and since then I have yeah, been offering this as a service for myself, yeah, training and working on it
Mm-hmm.
myself, and for my clients. And the interesting thing was actually in the training, and perhaps your listeners may know that in medicine you study a lot, and so I went to the therapist, said, okay, just give me all the books, I read the books, and then we do the exam. And she was just laughing.
Exactly.
She said, that's like perhaps if at all it's 50%, but the other 50% is working on yourself. I was like, oh, do I get a new haircut? Do I tone my body? What do I do here? But no, she meant really working on my inner attitudes, working on basically on my traumas, and changing the way how I live, how I perceive life. And so the training is quite challenging, or was quite challenging, but it was very enjoyable as well, because with every day you have a small new, different tool set and different approach and a different experience of what life can be and is then. And and that's basically how I ended up with peak states.
Okay, well, that was quite a story. So did that help you in your work environment for 2 years while you were here in the States?
It helped a lot, of course. When I changed my inner setting, the tension went away. Okay, so I always compared that. I thought I was a little bit tense. I thought about okay, there's a little bit too much, but then I did peak states work, and my tension went down. I was like, huh, one can live at that low level of tension. That's interesting. Okay, and that happened then a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and then basically life slowly but steadily. If you continue your work slowly but steadily, changes, and you become, as we say, very calm, peaceful, and emotionally light, or light in the body. You can still be a little bit overweight, but it's a lightness feeling you have in your body, and this is a beautiful state. Some people might know that state when you're having an argument and inside perhaps, and you're having a problem and you're just discussing, and then in a moment there's this relief, stone falls off your chest and off your shoulders. And this is the moment basically which we call the CPL moment, the calm, peaceful, and light moment. And this is the moment when a trauma was resolved. And this is the moment when, with peak states techniques, you can pinpoint, okay, for that topic, I want to get past that trauma, I want to get past that moment, and resolve it. While many people use the word trauma for big things like accidents or car crashes or other things like this, we use trauma for everything that doesn't feel calm, peaceful, and emotionally light. Okay, so whenever you go to your boss and you're like, what's he going to say? There's a trauma moment, okay? But if you go to your boss, okay, so hey, how you doing? What's up? That's okay. Yeah, that's actually how we think life should be. Everybody should be, but most of us aren't, I think, on an everyday basis. Yeah, if I remember back the day when I went to work, I was driving. It was like, how will this day end? And always questioning myself, having self-talk in my head, and trying to solve my emotional problems with my head, which doesn't really work.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I know that caregivers are under so much stress and overwhelm, and they do have these traumas possibly with the person that they're caring for because they haven't had a really good relationship with them. So what can you suggest when you're feeling like at your wit's end and you have nothing more to give?
Wow, that's already a very late step in the process. But
okay, let's let's do the next step. Sorry, I didn't mean to rush it there. So what's the next step first?
Yeah. So for me, very important. It's that you understand that there's something. Okay. As I said, when I shared my story, at first there was something, and I said, okay, just power through. Okay. And that's a very, very common attitude. I don't think I'm the only one on this planet who's doing that. So, and in that moment, start to reflect on yourself. Oh, powering through is a coping mechanism. What am I coping with? Okay, so if you get that step already, that step of awareness, that the step of reflection of what you are doing, that is amazing, because now you know that there's something you need to change. Before,
Yes.
in the mode when you're just powering through, you don't know. That's normal. That's how life is, right? And I think many viewers will agree that powering through is just the normal thing, or not complain, or There's so many other things that you say. Yeah, that's just the way life is, for example. Okay, or
Mm-hmm.
that's just the way our job is, or our job comes with that kind of, and so on. Yeah, and these are just basically self-hypnotic words we're using to just continue, but to be able to change, to be able to make your life a little bit easier internally. First
Mm-hmm.
understand, okay, there it is, there's this moment. Okay, and that's the understanding, the acceptance that there is something inside of you. And then when you understood that, then there's the second step to try to see what you want to change. Okay, there's always, we can change the external world. Yeah, we can quit the job, go for the next job. We can change the patient or other things.
Mm-hmm.
Or do we want to change something inside? And that is the next thing, which is really important from my point of view, because we all had as kids and our hand on the stovetop and put it away and understood there's hot, there's pain, we pull it away, then the pain goes away. So we
Mm-hmm.
learn that basically everything in the outside, if we just move it the right way, pain goes away. But if
Mm-hmm.
pain is in the inside, it doesn't go away just moving your hand away.
No,
Okay.
you're right.
So then after seeing, okay, I have a coping mechanism, I'm just powering through, I want to change something, I'm getting aware of it, I want to change something. Then the next step is, what do you want to change? Do you want to change outside world? That's perfectly fine. Or do you want to change the inside world? If you continue a journey on the inside world and change, your outside world will automatically change. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because you
Mm-hmm.
will react differently. So that's an easy thing. For example, if you have a conflict with your colleague, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
you start your inner work, you will have a different idea, opinion about that conflict, and perhaps you're not that stubborn anymore. And no, that's the correct way
Mm-hmm.
to do it. But you say, okay, that's true. You can do it the other way. And then the colleague looks and says, huh, that's interesting. Perhaps I don't need to say that's the right way. And then there's people coming together. Okay, so that's
Mm.
when you start the inner journey, the inner work, then things in the outside have the ability to change, and they will change. If you just change something in the outside, it might influence your inner. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I bought a new chair for 2 or 3 weeks. It was amazing. I was like, okay, my back is better, and so on. But then it
Mm-hmm.
came back. Okay, because everything adjusts.
Exactly. Well, you had some very golden nuggets there. So I like the idea of when you're really stressed out to stop, to think, all right, what do I need to change? Something here is not working really well with my relationship with my loved one or the person that I'm caring for. And I like the idea of then reflecting on what you can do internally or externally. And you're right. Externally is something we don't have control over. So it would seem to me like doing that inner work would be more beneficial when you're in that situation. But it really takes time for you to stop and really think about what is really going on and any trauma that may have occurred in your past with that person that you're caring for. Please continue. This is just amazing. So the third step is?
Well, that's the scary step. We face what we have. Okay, so we now found that there's something. We found that we have an issue. We admit to ourselves, okay, I have an issue with my colleague. I have an issue with my patient. And then when we have that, then there's this little voice in the head saying, I'm not allowed to have an issue with my patient. No, I'm the caregiver. I'm not allowed to have that. Or what do I do now? And then we have again another conflict. So when you start your inner journey, you have to see that there will be inner conflicts as well, because you're changing your setup, you're changing your point of view. And that means there will be voices, there will be ideas, there will be things that say, no, you can't. But then it is really important to see what is the purpose of this change, or what do you want to achieve with that change. And I mean, I couldn't have gone powering through this whole time, going through all my traumas, through everything. I possibly would have had a breakdown. Okay,
Mm.
and just realize that I need to be healthy to be able to give care. I need to be able to be healthy, to have a relationship. If I'm not healthy, if I feel depressed or feel overworked, I can't have a healthy relationship, and I can't depend on my partner to substitute that. Why would he or she help me out of that where I'm in when I brought myself in there? So
Mm,
for me, it's the scary part is really, okay, now there's change. And for that change, you can go and buy some books, okay, and you can try to read. And that's basically how I started, to try to read websites and look through YouTube videos and get an idea. And there are some very, very cool resources out there, and perhaps we can put them in the description afterwards. And that's a good way to start thinking, and some good colleagues that have good ideas and publish nice books about it. But then if you really start, please get somebody you trust, yeah, to be on your side, a coach, a
mm,
therapist, whatever you want to call it, to walk this path with you, at least at the beginning, okay? So
mm-hmm,
for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months or something. And then if you're familiar with the situation, if you're familiar, for example, with the technique, with the modality, then you can start working on your own. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But I've seen also clients who just read a book and tried everything and basically got themselves more into the problem, because now they say nothing worked, but they really just tried on their own. Okay, so there was
Exactly.
another belief coming up: nothing will work, and I'm now doomed forever, which is not true. That's very rare that there's actually no possibility for change. So I recommend get somebody on your side, and who you trust, and that's the most important thing. Go with your gut feeling. If you talk to somebody, go with your gut feeling, and see, okay, this person is like weird. No, I'm not going to work with that one. And that's nice. Okay, perhaps we try, and then you just try.
No, that's a good next step. I think you really have to have guidance from someone who's really specializes in the area of psychotherapy or peak states or inner unity, because like you said, it's one thing to read it, it's another thing to really have someone show you how to really implement it. So there
Correct.
is change,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yes.
Okay, we get through this really awful, scary state. What do we do next?
Well, when we started the therapy, then congratulations, you made the first step. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a process. Okay. With, for example, peak states or inner unity, it's a very quick process. When you just start doing it with any other modality, it might be as quick or not as quick. It's really depending on how quick you want to advance. Okay. I like to work with clients who want to go have quick results and fast results. That's what I'm for. I'm not the one you can hire for 2 or 3 years of therapy. That's not my thing. There are other colleagues who like to do that, but that's like the thing. That when you look for the therapist, you just ask these questions. Okay, how long will it be, and what are we going to do, and then you start the work. And there will always be a moment when you say, nothing works, and it doesn't work, and now it's even worse than before, and I quit.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't. Please don't.
Great advice. That's true. Don't give up on yourself.
No, exactly, because it would be giving up on yourself, where you put it beautifully, and that is not a wise thing to do. So
Mm-mm.
please, and now it's the time, just say it, okay? When you are about to give up, when everything looks horrible, just tell your therapist. And then you have a very good way to discern if that is a good therapist, because he or she will help you through that time, or if they get emotionally attacked by you or feel attacked by you, and then they, like they did with me, that's your fault. You as a client did something, and then okay, you're not going to continue with that therapist anymore.
Right, because it can't always be your fault. I mean, you
No.
need somebody to encourage you along the journey, because it's not like you mentioned, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to continually work at it. However, and if by working through it with a licensed therapist, you can then begin, like you said, to change your mindset so that this person who had been really irritating you for all of your life, you begin to understand where they're coming from, and you're more accepting of the situation, instead of always thinking it's, like you said, your fault.
Correct. No, and that is very beautifully put. it's the acceptance of the situation, and even that is the mind thing, and but there's also a heart acceptance or a feeling acceptance, and that
Mm,
should be the goal with your therapist to work, that you basically emotionally can as well accept that situation, okay, not only cognitively, okay.
mhm,
And most therapists will lead you to that conclusion, that even the heart can say, okay, it's fine, okay. And in peak states therapy, we know basically the trauma behind it, and we know that there are some cords, some connections between people. We can't see, but we can feel, and we can feel if something changes, and if our partner does something, there's something in the air, or like what we say, push our buttons. Okay, this proverb which
mhm,
you used, there is something which is not really visible and touchable, but we can use basically, or can sense. And that we know about these things, we know about the interaction between people, and help you through these basically tough times. Yeah?
mhm,
And then always the goal: be calm, peaceful, and light, emotionally light with that situation you're in. And there with that there comes always acceptance. And the beautiful thing is, when you're CPL, when you're calm, peaceful, and emotionally light, you can think more clearly because you're not under stress. So before, you
oh,
just saw
mm,
this path, and that's the only way it can be. Like I said, just power through it. That's the only thing I saw. Okay. But now, when you're calm and peaceful and light, you can, oh, okay, I could power through. I could do this. I could do that. And thinking, and that has something to do with how our brain works, is possible then when we are not in survival mode, when we're not needing to protect ourselves against
mm,
that colleague and against that patient and so on. If our internal system says, okay, that colleague is not a threat anymore, then we can start to think. And then new solutions come up, and that's why our behaviors will change, yeah, over time.
mm. That's
Okay.
amazing. Yeah, I liked the idea of making those internal changes so that you can make a more positive change on the outside. And that, secondly, I guess you can stop and think about other options, which you can't really think about when you're really stressed and overwhelmed. It's
Exactly.
beautiful.
Yes. Yes.
So, what is this? Is there a specific goal um, for this peak states? Is it just the peace um, and other feelings that change that make a difference?
Almost. So that
Okay.
is basically the basic for everything. We know that when you have that CPL moment, everything is nice. But peak states, the Institute for the Study of Peak States, found that these traumas we are feeling, these moments where we're not CPL, we have also in our biological development. So basically, when we go back, and if you look at your kids, basically when you observe your kids and they grow up, there's moments they were just lying on their backs, and then they start turning. So that moment, that day where they start turning, that is basically a very important day in that kid's life, because they got a new ability. Okay, they were able
Mm,
to turn from their backs on their bellies and back and forth. So that gives freedom, yeah, freedom of movement. And then they start crawling, and then they start standing up. So these are always like on a staircase. So you go up, and next developmental event, and these we also have while we're still within our mama's womb. Okay, so we also have these developmental events, and there can be trauma, and these trauma in these developmental events actually block peak states, block um,
mm,
enhanced states of consciousness. You always use that term with some drugs and stuff. No, we're not talking about drugs or invasive procedures here. We're just talking about
mm,
simple ways of how to perceive the world and how to see the world. And you have that all over. If you look, for example, in Donald Duck cartoons, yeah, there's Donald Duck. He's always unlucky, and there's
mhm,
this Gandalf Gander, I think his name is. He's always happy. So this is basically that. That's how a peak state feels. You're happy, or everything just flows, or you just have a silent mind, so you can concentrate very well. Or some people and researchers have that. That's a peak state where they just can see outside of themselves all these pieces of technology fitting together, and then it's much easier when
mm,
you can visualize that like this, to put it on a paper and then create a plan on how to build it. And so there are abilities people have. And before the Institute for the Study of Peak States found out, that was God-given. Okay, so there was no way of, nobody knew how to reach them. And now we know that when we heal trauma and certain developmental events, there will be a peak state. And this peak state is basically you working more efficiently, biologically speaking, more efficiently. And that's what the Institute found out. And over 30 or 35 years of research. And that's what basically the peak state model is all about, explaining how it works. Okay, it's a model. It's if it's real life, I don't know, but it's a very good model to understand situations and to diagnose and to help patients or clients. And yeah, and then there's the peak states therapy, which uses this model to very efficiently resolve situations which are unpleasant.
Thank you so much for that explanation. So I'm assuming that many people have more than one traumatic event. So you may heal one, and then you may be in that situation again of stress and overwhelm. And do you have to stop again and think, okay, this could be related to something else? Another traumatic event somewhere in my history?
Yes. So we don't believe that you can heal all your traumas you have. Okay, there are like 20 or 30,000 traumas you might have, or even more. We don't know. But the idea is to just get that out of the way, which blocks your flow of life, which blocks your happiness. Okay. So we just look at your everyday life, and you can do that right now when you're listening. You can just look at your everyday life and think about, okay, which things work easy without effort. Usually these things have nothing to do with trauma. Okay, so if you like to go to doing yoga and that just flows, and then you meet your friends there, and okay, so that's fine. But if you think about going to work and it feels heavy and it feels dull and it feels like, oh my God, then there's possibly some trauma. Okay, and since you would go to work every day, I would suggest we work on that first. Okay, because then we have a way to improve your life almost instantly when we work on why do you feel dull to go to work, what's the emotion coming up, and what is the association, how did it develop, and then we simply work on that situation. And then the next time in the session you will come and say, going to work wasn't that difficult anymore, but turning around at that corner, there was something. I said, okay, let's work with this, and eventually going to work will be easy. Okay, and then you have I don't know, talking to your boss or talking to your supervisor, talking to the patient or something like this. And basically we will use your everyday life to work through. Yeah, there's not such a big analysis like you do in other psychotherapies on what's there, but we simply use it in a very hands-on approach. What's the most disturbing thing right now, and work on this, and improve your life this way.
So you've mentioned that it doesn't usually take 2 or 3 years to work with somebody on your peak states. Can you give us an idea of how long that process might be?
We usually make it very short. So for example, there's one topic. So you would come to me and say, every morning I can't drive out of the driveway. Okay, there's something, it's really blocking me. So we'll work with that. That's like our first topic, our first contract we'll have. And at least we have to look at it 3 times. Okay, we analyze it first, we work with it, and then there's change. And then you just live your life and you come back and you say, it changed. Perfect. Is it good? No, not yet. And then we change a little bit more, and then this contract eventually is done. And then there's the next thing. There's the next thing. So it's a very iterative approach of going from one step to another. So it's always trying to find small packages, basically, which we change, and then you continue. So it could be that after 5 packages, you say, no, my life is fine. I don't need anything, and I don't need to do anything anymore. So we just spend about, I don't know, 3-4 weeks, and then it's okay. And you come back 2 or 3 years ago when your supervisor changed. Okay, so then you, and then that's fine. So it's not really about doing it long or doing it, I don't know. It's just to improve your everyday life, and then eventually you get the hang of it and said, what's that about the silent mind process? So far, we have just worked with my individual problems, like going to work or these other things. And what's that with the silent mind process? And the silent mind process is a process where we also work very similarly with like in individual sessions, but we have a goal and we have some music. And it's a process which the Institute developed, for example, to get a silent mind and to resolve these cords between people. So that's like the biggest process we have. That's like the first one we try, we give with clients, and it changes your life dramatically because all these little voices stop. Okay, it's just silent. There still can be something we call self-talk. Self-talk is this: if we rehearse something didn't do right. So yeah, yesterday I talked to my partner, and then I said something like this, and then she said that back, and next time I'm going to say this. Okay, this is basically this self-talk, this rehearsing in the head. That won't go away. That's simple trauma, and we can solve that, and then this goes away. But this, if you go to bed and lay down, and there's these thoughts, and then perhaps there's some critical comments about you, and so this will vanish. So they will be quiet. So if you meditate, it's awesome, yeah, because then you get to this quiet state even faster. But even though like this, because you can concentrate much better. So that's one benefit of the silent mind process. This next one, these cords, as I said, this pushing buttons will go away. And clients always say, the first Christmas, the first holidays after the silent mind is marvelous because it's so different, okay? I'm sitting here and I'm enjoying actually being with my loved ones. That's what it's all about, right? But who of us really is enjoying it? Because there's like this small little drama and this one and this and so on. And it doesn't hurt you anymore. You're just there and you just see how people might interact and might fight a little bit, but you're just very calm because these buttons are not there anymore. So this is like wonderful. That's life changing. And the second one is if you continue on that journey to do the inner peace process. And the inner peace process is exactly what the name says. It brings you into a very deep peace, a very peaceful way of living, because it resolves anchors we have to past traumas. So when we go back and this time, I don't know, mommy didn't pick me up right now at school, and I'm still, that's why I need to be punctual. I need to be punctual. Otherwise my mommy will not pick me up, or something like this. And we still have an anchor here, and that comes back even into present day. Even if we are 40, 50 or 60 years old, it's still there that mommy didn't pick us up there. And we remove these anchors, and then we just emotionally come into the present moment. Since there's no war and nothing is going on, everything is beautiful right now. Yeah, beautiful room, peaceful, beautiful peace. And this is very relieving for most people, and also very different aspect of their lives. The clients say before they were like very triggered about something coming up, and now they're just, okay, I'll do it. That's fine. Okay, even though you're exhausted, you're just different how you approach life. And that's something for somebody who's really on the path to have a beautiful life, or enjoy being able to enjoy life. That's something the inner peace, or both the combination of the silent mind and the inner peace, really can help you get. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. You're already putting me in a very relaxed state. So thank you very
much. Nice. Happy.
Yes. I hope that I can keep this feeling going. So give me an idea of when you would want to use peak states versus inner unity. Is there any overlap, and which one would you choose to do first?
Well, in a unity is also a modality, a technique like peak states. It's newer, so it's not that it's not 30 years. I think it's 10 years around. And with peak states, we have a huge model and a huge tool set, and there are books published. Inner unity is so new; they're just writing the books right now. And with peak states, we use something which is much mechanical. We use tapping. Okay, we use an EFT 9-gamut point. Somebody might have used tapping and EFT before. It's a 9-gamut point. Regular EFT doesn't use so much. We use it, and it really works well and wonders. So we don't have to touch in our face, which is great right now, right? So we don't have to disinfect our hands, and so you can just use it, and you can even do it like in an interview. I could do it right now, you wouldn't even know. Okay, so with the other tapping you would know, but with the 9-gamut point you wouldn't know. And And so it's very there is something you have to do. You do, and you want to do it, okay, because there's something you actually, and if you're really upset, knowing that you can just tap on that point is something nice. And with inner unity, you close your eyes and you work very much with inner pictures and with visualizations and very much meditation. So if you like tapping, like the idea of having something you tap on, perfect. We do peak states. And if you liked the idea of more meditation and just sitting still and just working with your mind and your body and just imagining, feeling, and holding also feeling. If you think you can sit down and have a feeling and hold an emotion for like 5-6 minutes, then something inner unity is something more for you. Yeah. And or the combination out of both. That's why I use the combination when a client comes to me in a sense, okay, we might use just inner unity, or we just might use peak states in that moment. That really depends. Yeah.
Okay. So you can use them separately or together.
Correct.
Okay.
They don't influence each other. They basically came from the same root. Okay, so one of the peak states therapists created inner unity, so it's basically just a different direction. The idea went, or the therapy went. Yeah.
So tell, I guess, our listener how, or provide any other insights about peak states or inner unity that would encourage, like, a caregiver to get some help with these areas so that they could be less stressed and overwhelmed. And
well, I would love you to get the feeling of how it is being stressed and switching to a really relaxed state. You can do that immediately in taking a pill, but that gets you into addiction to pills. You don't
Right.
want to do that. At least that's not my recommendation. So my recommendation, if you feel stressed, so right now, if you listen to that and you feel stressed, think about, are you ready to change your life a little bit, just a little bit, okay, and get something new into your life, and then start looking for some meditation you like. I have, for example, on my YouTube page, I have a small meditation called Loving Yourself. That's just something to start. And if you get the hang of it, that there's something happening when you visualize something and you follow some instructions, something is happening inside of you, that's amazing. That's already the first step. Now you know you can do the work. Okay. And now you know that there's something inside of you. It's not just you reacting to the world, which is unpredictable. We never know what's around the next corner. But we know that there's something inside we can actually take control of. And I think that is really empowering to know that with a little bit of training, with a little bit of, as well, trust to somebody else showing you, you can change your life. You can change from being stressed out and being always on the edge to being very calm, peaceful, light, enjoy life. That is some work, but just already a little bit less stressed. That's the step. And if that worked for you, then you automatically will continue. And I wish you to have that experience, because it's amazing. It makes life much more different, and it's actually the term we use. It makes life worth living.
yes, definitely. You sound really exuberant and happy, and I mean, I can't imagine. I mean, it must be quite an experience working with you, because you just exude this peace and inner joy. Are there, in addition to listening to the meditation, are there 2 other takeaways that you could provide for our listeners?
I would like to use, when I do interviews with my clients after some big processes, and sometimes they say it's fine, I can put it on the web page, and there was one client I liked very much, and she said everything is all right. Okay, I asked her to say something when she feels bad. Okay, I asked her to say just something to tell her future self when she would, when life wouldn't go her way, and she would be feeling stressed out. So it was very difficult for her to imagine after the session. We did that interview after the session. And I said, just in case. And then she said, everything is all right. Okay? And for her, I think, and I hope for you as well, it's like, okay, I'm not wrong. I'm not broken. I'm not something. Trauma doesn't make me wrong or unworthy or something. No, 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 no. Trauma is the same thing as we have hair on our heads, or like we have needs to eat, to drink, to have clothing on. Trauma is part of our lives, which has been ignored so far big time by our society. And now we are in the time when we are aware of that, and we have technology to change it and tools to change it. And so just accept, okay, I have this shirt on and you have another shirt on. That's, yeah, it's like a shirt. You can change it, you can work with it. It's part of our lives. It doesn't make you inferior, it doesn't make you wrong. And if you start working with it, you can even use it to your benefit, because then you know how to work with it. You know how to work through a difficult situation with a therapist, or later perhaps even alone if the situation is not that difficult. And you don't need to have that very simple-minded idea of powering through, which doesn't really help.
No, you're right. Thank you so much. The meditation and just reminding ourselves that it's going to be all right and that you're not broken. You can change it if you want. You can have a better relationship, not only with yourself, but with the person you're caring for. And I would think that would bring you more happiness and joy, because then you could have those memories, and you don't, definitely, without the trauma. So that's incredible. Anything else you would like to share with our listeners?
Just try it, please. Just try it. Don't push yourself too hard. Just try it and try to change something. And really, life is worth it. And yeah, do it.
It's great advice. Thank you. You've given us some valuable nuggets all through your interview. You do have a free offer for our listeners, I understand?
Yes. So if you go to my website, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation. You can get into contact directly with me, talk to me about your situation, about your issues, and then we'll see. Perhaps I can already point you into the direction. We work together. We have an idea on where to find somebody in your area. So yeah, just go to my website and talk to me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zeiss. I love that opportunity for the listener to really book a call and find out where and how they can make the change that you are recommending. Thank you so much for being on my podcast today.
Me. Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you so much.